It's time now for an in-depth look at the global markets on this Friday, and for that I'm joined on the line by Dr. Kim Sei-wan, professor of economics at Ewha Womans University. Dr. Kim, thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure.
So when Japan announced the details this week of how it's going to regulate exports to Korea from now on, it did not add any more products to the most strict category, like the 3 semiconductor products it already announced. And it's approved the first shipment of photoresists. So in view of that fact, is Japan backing off of this trade war a little? What's their strategy?
I think there are mixed interpretations on Tokyo's first approval of high-tech materials export to Korea since the beginning of export curve in July. On one side, it looks that Abe administration is sending a message of conversation with President Moon's government. But on the other side, Abe administration is just checking global current opinion on this issue. I believe the latter is more reasonable interpretation as of now.
Interesting. So maybe more sensitive to international opinion there.
Right.
Now, one of the ways the Korean government's responded to Japan's actions is to announce a huge increase in investment in R&D for products like semiconductors and displays so that Korea doesn't get stuck like this again. How effective will this be in the short and long term, and what do you think needs to be done?
Increasing R&D is, of course, the most appropriate solution against Japan's key material export curves. But the problem is it takes such a long time, at least 2 to 3 years, to develop the substitute materials and components through R&D. I think for short-run solutions, Korean corporations and government should be more focused on searching substitute materials and components from other countries, of course, except Japan, more aggressively, like through merging corporations that have the technology on these materials and components.
Got it. Well, shifting gears here a little bit, President Trump, as he long said he would, this week labeled China a currency manipulator. What led him to this decision, and what's he trying to do?
Actually, Mr. Trump's administration has been pretty cautious on designating China as a currency manipulator so far, for avoiding the expansion of the trade war with China. This time, the reason for designating China as a currency manipulator is, I believe, for having stronger leverage over U.S.-China trade negotiations, which got stuck from last 2 weeks Shanghai meeting.
Yeah, and that decision has had consequences for the exchange rate as the Chinese yuan crossed the psychological barrier of 7 yuan to the dollar for the first time since the financial crisis. What's the significance of this 7 yuan threshold?
From the beginning of trade war with Washington, Beijing has been trying very hard to avoid being designated as currency manipulator. And the 7 yuan per dollar exchange rate was a psychological barrier, which was strongly kept by Chinese government. So the exceeding 7 yuan per dollar exchange rate indicates Beijing has decided to let yuan depreciate. So in other words, China signals it may continue to weaken its currency. So that even a more escalating trade war tension between the two countries.
Yeah, the dollar seems to be strengthening across the board. It certainly has against the Korean won. But if America and China are now in a currency war, surely that is going to have a big effect on Korea. What effect will it have, and what can be done about it?
Since Korean economy for independence, which is over 17% of total GDP, is one of the largest in the world. I think the largest victim of U.S.-China trade war and currency war would be Korea. So in the short run, the impact of U.S.-China currency war is reflected in Korean stock market. So it is important to stabilize the stock market through decreasing speculative short-term transactions. I believe one of the measures for this is banning short sales, which is considered by Korean Supervisory Office.
Yeah, we did see measures announced this week in that direction. All right, Dr. Kim, that's where we'll have to stop for today. Thank you for your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.